Salute discipuli. I'm coming to you today from Taylor Street Baptist Academy. Thought I'd switch things up a little bit. And actually, that first Monday after spring break, when Ray and I found ourselves at home doing school, we decided to name our school. Have you named your school? I hope so. That would be a fun thing. Anyway, Taylor Street Baptist Academy, where every day is slipper day, where the dress code is play clothes, and where you can even pause your teacher when you're hungry and want to go for a snack. What a cool thing, right? Right. Kind of cool. Actually, makes us pretty grateful for Hammond Baptist Grade School, right? It certainly does us and all the people through all the years that have kept our school going. People like Dr. and Mrs. Alclair and the Dr. and Mrs. Sisson and Mrs. Smith, all of her faithful years of teaching and then helping out in the office, and Mrs. Kramer and her hard work, and all the teachers. So hopefully in the fall we will be able to be back together again. But for today, we are having a lesson on chapter 11. So you will need a few things in front of you. You will need your book, your Minimus book. Turn to page number 64 and 65, chapter 11. You will also need your chapter 11 notes in front of you. First thing we're going to do is say the Pledge of Allegiance in Latin. Hopefully you haven't forgotten that. I stuck the flag back there behind me. You ready? Say it with me. Fidem meam obligo, vexillo civitatium, Americae foederatarum, et rei publicae pro qua stat uni nationi, Deo ducente, non dividendi cum libertate, justitiae omnibus. A time in our country where it makes us love our country even more, and how much we pray for it and hope that the Lord will bring this virus to an end and help people to get back to work. I hope you and your family are doing well. And without further ado, let's do chapter 11. Here we go. The first thing that we need to talk about today is that Latin is a little bit different than English. I'm sure you've noticed. And actually, Latin has a lot fewer words than the English language. There's a lot of reasons for that, but one of the reasons is because Latin doesn't change words very often. They just change the ending on the words, and those endings, suffixes, those endings on words mean something. They tell us something, and we've talked about that before. So here we go. The first thing we learned about was adjectives. You remember the rule about nouns and adjectives? They must what? Right, they must agree. They must agree in gender and in number. Okay, then, so the ending on an adjective tells us what gender it is and what number it is. The ending on a verb tells us something. Do you remember? Can anyone out there remember what the ending on a verb tells you? I hope so. The ending on a Latin verb tells you who is doing the action. Let's say the endings of our verbs together. Do you remember them? O, S, T, M, U, S, T-I-S, and N-T. So if the verb ends with O, who's doing the action? Like Lego. What does that mean? I am reading. Dico. That means I am talking. Yes. Let's see. Laboro. I am working. I hope you're working. Laboramus. We are working. Okay, so the ending on a verb tells you who's doing the action. Now today, in chapter 11, they're going to introduce to you something brand new, and that is the ending on nouns changed too. Just when we thought we got it, we're learning something different. And a noun, like puella, is not always spelled P-U-E-L-L-A. Sometimes it has an M on the end. In fact, sometimes we've seen that it has an A-E at the end, and that makes it plural, puellae, girls. So here's a sentence for you. Puella bona est. Sorry, guys. You're good, too. puella bona est. Now, you remember what that means? Can we translate that? Right. The girl is good, or you could even start with the verb and say she is a good girl. Either way is correct. All right, so let's mark this. The girl is the subject, bona is an adjective describing the girl, and est is the verb. There we go. Now, that is usually the way we've seen the word puella. The only other way we've seen it is when it's plural, and that is spelled with an AE. And remember, nouns and adjectives have to agree. So when you change the noun, you have to change the spelling of the adjective also. Look at that. We even have to change the verb to the word sunt because we need are now because we're talking about more than one girl. Puella, puellae, boni, sunt. The girls are good. All right, guys. Just so you don't feel left out, here we go. Puer, banus, est. The boy is good. And then to make a masculine word, plural, you use an I at the end of the word. I know, it's a lot different than English. What do we use on the end of an English word to make it plural? You know this, right? Third graders know this. An S, right? Girl, girls. One girl is girl, more than one girl is girls. You add the S. In that way, English is a lot easier. In Latin, you have to learn a bunch of endings. And here we go. The boy is good, and the boys are good. All right, so now we've determined that the ending tells us something. So the ending on an adjective tells us if it's masculine or feminine or neuter. It also tells us if it's singular or plural. The ending on a verb tells us if it's a who's doing the action. All right, so the ending on a noun tells us what that noun is doing in the sentence. All right, where did my other girl sentence go? Oh, duh, right here in front of me. All right, here's a sentence that I used girl, and it's not the subject. Magistra puellam vocat. Now, this word, puellam, it's still the word girl. It's just got this M on the end. You know this word, right? Magistra. That's me, teacher. This verb, vocat, means she calls. So this sentence would be translated, the teacher calls the girl. So why then is this word puella spelled with an M at the end? All right, I'm going to tell you. It's because that noun, puella, is no longer the subject, it's the direct object. The word teacher is the subject and vocat is the verb. So the teacher is calling. The teacher is calling who or what? The girl. The teacher calls the girl. The girl is receiving the action. It's kind of like a football player. The quarterback has the ball. He throws it down to the field to a receiver. There are several receivers if you know all about football. But he throws it to a receiver, okay? The receiver gets the ball, right? Hopefully. That's the idea anyway. He gets the ball and I'm trying to keep my computer awake in case I need it. All right. So this word is receiving the action. So it is not the subject. The subject is the doer of the action. The teacher is doing the calling. Okay, and the girl is receiving the action. And we call that a direct object. In the book, you're going to see that the book just calls it an object, which is not incorrect. They're just trying to make it easy. But I think you're smart, so I want to tell you exactly what it's called, and that's called a direct object. All right, in a Latin sentence, the direct object is usually in the middle of the sentence. In an English sentence, the direct object is at the end. Let me write it out. The teacher calls the girl. What does she call her? Call her in from recess? Call her for lunch? Call her to tell her to stop talking? Uh-oh. Hopefully not. All right, so here we go. So look at the difference of where they are in the sentence. In the English sentence, the direct object is usually towards the end of the sentence. Okay, so the teacher calls the girl. The teacher's doing the action. Call, of course, is the verb. It shows action. And the girl is receiving the action. Who or what's being called? It's kind of like the teacher throws the ball. Okay? Teacher is the subject, throws is the verb, ball is the direct object. All right. Now I don't want to get too weighed down with all this grammar stuff. You remember what grammar is, right? Grammar is how a language works. We really need to know how our English grammar works. And you know, if you pay attention real well in Latin class, you're going to learn how the Latin language works, and I'm going to stick a whole lot of English grammar in there too, because they kind of go together, and if you learn the Latin grammar, it's going to help you when you get to Spanish class. You know why? Because Spanish is one of the Romance languages. That's another good reason for learning our vocabulary well, because the Latin language is 90% of the Romance languages. Okay? The Romance languages, you remember what they are? Ooh, that's been a long time ago. We talked about that. These 5 languages came directly from the Latin language. Spanish, you remember them? French, Italian, of course. Rome is in Italy. So Spanish, French, Italian, Romanian, that makes sense. Romans, Romanian, and Portuguese. Okay, so all 5 of those languages came directly out of the Latin language. So 90% of the vocabulary from those languages is from the Latin language. All right, so I'm trying to keep this video short so you don't get bored and you want to pause me or turn me off altogether. That'd be horrible. All right, so chapter 11. Get your book open. Let's listen to chapter 11. We're going to see these words that we know that they're spelled a different way. We're going to see them spelled a little bit differently, and that's because they're not a subject of the sentence. They're the object of the sentence. All right, so here we go with chapter 11, and the name of this chapter is A Sad Day. Let's find out why it's sad. I'm going to play the CD for you, and you follow along just like we do in class.
Chapter 11, A Sad Day.
Here we go.
Bad news. Candidus receives a letter from his friend Barates. Barates is very unhappy because his wife, Regina, has died.
Candidus epistolam accipit. Barates tristissimus est, quod Regina mortua est.
Candidus tells Flavius and Lepidina the sad news. They decide to travel to Eboracum to attend Regina's funeral. Candidus will travel with Flavius and Lepidina to look after them on the journey. The other slaves will stay behind to take care of the rest of the family.
Lepidina candidum curat.
Corinthus ecum et claustrum parat.
Pandora familiam curat.
All right, so that was chapter 11, the first part of the story. Now, page 65, the grasp of the grammar section, it would be really good if you read through it. I don't want to keep reading through it. I'm seeing my time ticking by. I don't want to belabor this video, so I want to be quick and I want to get it on RunWeb so you can see it this morning. All right, so grasp the grammar talks about the difference and why nouns change their ending. They change their ending when they change their job in the sentence. Instead of being the subject. That's one job of a noun. Instead of being the subject, they become the direct object, and that changes their ending. It's the same word. You translate it the same way, but it just changed its job, and so it's spelled a little bit differently. All right, now, a couple things. On RenWeb, I uploaded the translation for this. It's the teacher's edition, okay? So you're gonna be able to, your assignment for today is to translate those 5 boxes. There are 6 boxes, but one of them's English, so that doesn't need any translating. You translate those 6 boxes and on a piece of paper, or you can just do it out loud, and then you can look at, it says, let me see what it says, Chapter 11, third. That's what it's called. All right, so you pull that document up and you'll be able to check and see if you translated it correctly. All right, then I'm going to make another short little video to come to you with the second part of Chapter 11. And then I've also made a worksheet for you to do. And don't worry, it doesn't all have to be done today. Sometime between now and next Monday, finish watching both Chapter 11 videos and doing the Chapter 11 worksheet. And that'll be great. All right, I miss you all. And I figured out all of this has been so strange, but I think one of the most strange things for me as a teacher is having to look at myself when I'm teaching instead of looking at all your cute faces. So I hope you're doing well. That first day, I think I put my phone number on RenWeb. Maybe I'll put it on again. Send me a picture of your cute face watching or doing your schoolwork. I would love that. Hope you're doing well, and walete.